Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe Archino back here in our FA Cup final is set. Manchester City set to take on Liverpool. And obviously, after yesterday, a very, very big win for Manchester City, but they have certainly lost, and that is because of Kevin De Bruyne, who it now seems is going to be out for 10 weeks. He was carted off the field yesterday with a apparent knee injury, and earlier in the morning, I got an update that it was only going to be for 6 weeks, which was still very significant, but news has just come down and hit the wire that he will now be out for 10 weeks. And for Manchester City, this is such a significant injury because we look at the club and what Kevin De Bruyne has meant to them since he has joined the side, and he made an instant impact. That is very hard to do in world soccer. Coming on from a different club to a different league and making an instant impact is so hard. Kevin De Bruyne led the Bundesliga in assists last year, but he came on the scene for the Premier League and it was scoring goals right away, getting assists right away. He just seemed to gel and mesh with this side instantly, which is very telling to the type of player because Manchester City has struggled as a club to play as a team. For a guy like that to just come in here and not skip a beat and be this fantastic, that speaks volumes to the level and the talent of Kevin De Bruyne. But Manchester City is going to have to find a way to get by without him right now because he is going to be out for a significant period of time. And it's kind of funny that Vincent Kompany finally seems to be on the path to coming back. It seems like he'll be back in maybe 2 weeks, and that should definitely solidify them defensively. I mean, when he is on the pitch, they're a different side. But now you lose Kevin De Bruyne, and again, now the things kind of go back to the more levels of uncertainty for Manchester City. But we'll talk a little bit about what we have coming up for the FA Cup final. I mean, there are a lot of storylines here. I'm not sure if there isn't one bigger than Raheem Sterling now facing the club that he left in Liverpool. Now, he was adamant that one of the reasons he left Liverpool is because he wanted to play in the biggest matches that mattered the most. Unfortunately for Manchester City this season, they have not held the competitive advantage in the matches that have mattered the most. It's just the way it is. The Stars haven't delivered like they should have been during these matches that have mattered the most. Liverpool handed it to Manchester City 4-1 in one of Jurgen Klopp's maybe the defining win so far for him in the Premier League season. Now he's really taking Liverpool where the fans have wanted them to be for some time. Really, you can tell that, I mean, he's labeled himself the normal one. Well, there's nothing normal about what he's done so far with Liverpool, already taking them now to the FA Cup final. Now, you look at what he kind of did in his last a couple of big cups in the Bundesliga. I mean, he had the historic win over Bayern Munich in 2012, but since that time has lost 3 of them. So I think, what testament would this win make to the normal one, Jurgen Klopp? I think this would be massive for his legacy. For just, again, coming in and just picking up the pieces of a club when the season's already started, that's so much to kind of come back from. These aren't your players. These aren't the guys who you've shown your tactics and your philosophy to. All that stuff takes so much time to build, and Jurgen Klopp has just kind of instituted it slowly but surely, and it's paid dividends. And you can finally see Liverpool, something is going on there, and they're playing great football right now. I mean, it is an exciting brand of football to watch, and I think sometimes that's sad when the historic clubs start to turn into just not fun to watch. It's happening with Manchester United right now. It's not an attractive style of football. It's not a good sight to watch. Liverpool now is one of the biggest draws to watch for me on a Saturday if I have a chance. I mean, if Brendan Rodgers was coaching Liverpool, it puts me to sleep a little bit. If Jurgen Klopp is coaching Liverpool now, it is a totally different vibe. It is a totally different team to watch. And we are now set for Manchester City to take on Liverpool. I really think Manchester City desperately needs to win the FA Cup final. I think that their season hinges on the results of this game. If they secure a victory here, they will finally get the confidence booster they need. Again, this is a match that matters. This is a match the competitive advantage should be in their favor. They have the better roster. They have the better collective group of talent. The coaching is clearly better on Liverpool's side, but the talent should be enough to put Man City over the top. If Vincent Company is back for that match, if Sergio Aguero is still healthy and knocking in goals like we've seen him been doing, I think that they will be just fine. The biggest thing I think Man City needs to return to is Silva and Sterling playing in harmonious sync with one another. Obviously, David Silva was the best player in the Premier League at the start of the season when Manchester City was 5 from wins, no goals conceded. He was playing like a magician out there, incredible to watch. The speed of Sterling combined with the precision of Silva, the two of those things combine perfectly together. Where I think we're kind of struggling now is David Silva had that injury. Him being out that significant amount of time was very difficult to kind of overcome, and they've never been able to resync since Silva has been back. But again, I really believe that Manchester City cannot afford not to win the FA Cup final. I truly think their season hinges on it because the competitive advantage has to start to be in their favor. They're just not getting wins against clubs that matter, and when you're not doing that, what does that say about your talent? Obviously, if you're not beating the teams that have great talent, you're not a great club. And I did a segment earlier this week where I said, is Manchester City a Premier League title team? Right now, no, they're not. Against the clubs that have mattered, against Liverpool and Arsenal and Man United and Everton and against Tottenham, they're not finding victories, or they're just finding draws, and that's not good enough. It's not good enough for a club that has spent millions of dollars to bring in the top players, to put this ultra competitive roster on the field. There hasn't been that competitiveness. The competitive advantage has not been in Manchester City's favor, and it's time that that stops. It's time Manuel Pellegrini's side wins a competition that matters, that reignites the fire, and gets them back to playing the best football like they should be. Will that happen? Obviously, that is a question that remains to be answered. Of course, as we get closer and closer to the FA Cup final, we'll be monitoring the news, monitoring the health of the players, seeing where we stand in that position. But right now, if I kind of have to make a bold statement about this game, it's that I don't think Man City wins the Premier League title this season if they don't win the FA Cup. I don't think that is going to happen. I just think their competitive advantage needs to be reignited. I think it will be reignited if they find a way to win the FA Cup. If they don't, I think it's not a title. And if that's the result for Manchester City this season, it is a complete and utter failure based on everything they have done, based on bringing in Kevin De Bruyne, based on bringing in Raheem Sterling, based on bringing in guys like Nicolas Otamendi. All those players, even and I can't forget about Fabian Delph either. If all those players don't make an impact and truly don't help them win an FA Cup and a title, again, I think this season is a complete failure. But we will certainly see how things pan out. Until next time, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino, on Instagram, Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll be back very soon.